I've done just about everything you can do in the healing realm. I've been to lots of different countries. I've been drumming out in the middle of nowhere, doing all kinds of emotional healings with shamans. And I just felt like that was really the first time I felt like each person that was going, we were doing healing for the collective. The stars aligned, and that was the magic of that particular moment.
You and I were sitting right next to the Cosmic Tower.
Welcome to the Quantum Lens podcast. I'm your host, Oksana Hansen. This is a space where science meets soul, a heart-centered, conscientious podcast designed to nurture your spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being through the wisdom of quantum biology, holistic healing, and a deep self-discovery. We'll explore what it truly means to live in alignment. If you're ready to open your heart, expand your mind, you're in the right place.
Kelli Ritter, thank you so much for joining the Quantum Lens podcast this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm always so excited to see you, and you and I have had some bonding, so this will be fun.
So what the audience doesn't know is Kelli and I actually recorded this podcast. I don't know how many months ago, but the recording failed. And so we never were able to publish that recording. But now, since then, we've actually met each other in person and a couple times, and we've been able to connect. And so now I know that this conversation is just going to be such a more connected and guided conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
we've done some deep healing together too. It wasn't just like a normal meeting. We've done some deep healing, some crying together. It's good.
Yeah, let's just go there. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Let's go wherever you want to go.
So Kelli was at Return to Nature, and I remember you kind of had hesitation to come to the event. You had some personal stuff going on with family and other things, right? And you were originally not going to be able to make it.
That's right.
And then something worked out and you were able to come.
Yeah. I was not thinking I could swing it because I'd been away. We had a child graduate, and then I was in Mexico with the family. And I thought, my husband's going to be like, you're going away again. And I was not sure I could. And also my mom has been having a lot of issues. And so when I met you at Meatstock in Tennessee, and you said, you have to come, I was like, okay, I need to figure out if I can do this. And I worked it out, thankfully, because it was so powerful. I was absolutely meant to be there. You did such a beautiful job. I mean, the details, I've been to a lot of retreats. I used to do a lot of events, host a lot of events. And, I know the work that goes into that, but it was really beautiful. And it was such a great experience. So I'm so glad I was there.
I'm so grateful that you said yes to the invitation of coming, because we know now in this quantum realm that nothing is an accident. We were meant to meet at Meatstock. We were meant to have the beautiful interactions we did there that kind of started our kind of friendship on this, what I would say is a very deep level now, because we've done some healing work together. And for you to be at Return to Nature and kind of representing the Institute of Quantum Biology. So you spoke a little bit on stage, which was wonderful. And then on the last day of the retreat, and I'm just going to tell the audience this because I haven't shared this with anybody, Nico Martins was staying at my house during the event because he was doing this cross-country road trips. I started just inviting people to my house the next morning. I was like, hey, Nico's going to do a session. Hey, Nico's going to do a session. And really, Nico and I hadn't really spent a lot of time together. He was staying at my house, but we hadn't really spent a lot of time together. And I don't know, I heard him say that he does these healing sessions. I had no idea what the healing sessions were going to be. I had no idea why I started inviting people to my house. And everybody was leaving to go out of town, had these long drives. And yet somehow everybody still showed up. And we had this small group of people And Nico starts working his like emotional magic, like, I don't know what it was, voodoo, hypnotherapy, mind work, like emotional clearing work. And it was so powerful.
Mhm. Yeah, it really was. And I wasn't supposed to be there. I had to bring a friend, Kelly Bento, needed to drop some things off at your house. And it was like, come in, and Nico's going to do this thing. And I was like, okay, I could stay for a little while, but I need to drive. Yeah, I was driving back too. Little did I know, my mom was actually in the hospital, but she wouldn't let anybody tell me because she wanted me to enjoy my time at the retreat, which was very sweet. But if I had known, I would have just been in the car. I would have gone immediately. So it all was very synchronistic. I was absolutely where I was supposed to be. And I loved what Nico did. Nico's fun to be around. Your home is amazing. It was just lovely to be there, the small group of people. But the healing that you opened up and started doing a lot of healing. And all I kept thinking is, thank you, Oksana, because you are doing something that it's affecting all of us. Like I could feel my own healing happening with your processing. And it was really beautiful. I've done just about everything you can do in the healing realm. I've been to lots of different countries. I've been drumming out in the middle of nowhere, doing all kinds of emotional healings with shamans and all kinds of stuff. And I just felt like that was the first time I felt like each person that was going, we were doing healing for the collective. I know that's happening, and it was always happening, but I could really feel it. And I don't know if that's just because all of the quantum health strategies, like we have more coherence in general. I have more capacity than ever before in my life. Or if I think it's just the stars aligned, and that was the magic of that particular moment.
So many different things that you said there. I think you and I were sitting right next to the Cosmic Tower, and
that's
the
right.
Energy of that Cosmic Tower. I just did a podcast with Patter, which will be out in a couple of weeks right before this podcast. So if you guys are curious on the Cosmic Tower and my personal journey that I've had about the Cosmic Tower, go back and listen to the one with Patrick from the Wellness Enterprise. But you and I were both sitting next to that Cosmic Tower, and that consciousness of the Cosmic Tower, I think it really affected us in that moment. By the way, I want to tell everyone your mom's okay.
Yeah, mom's okay.
Okay.
Mom's fine. I got there.
Yes.
I was armed with like food and red light and all the things, and she didn't even end up staying much longer. So yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. I'm clear. So
yes.
Like, what happened? Okay. Yes.
Mom's okay. Don't know why all the people that were there just happened to show up or be the right people in the room. I think the Cosmic Tower, you and I were both sitting next to it, like really kind of affected our field. And I remember as Nico was talking, like you and I just kept looking at each other. It was almost like I felt or heard what you were thinking and vice versa. Like it was, and then all of a sudden I was just like, I'm going to get up and do this myself. I'm going to be very vulnerable. I told you guys like a deep secret that I'm deeply ashamed of that has literally haunted me for decades. And I won't go too deep into it, but I have a very deep fear of flying. Nico is ex-military. And so I kind of, the conversation I had with him the night before was like, I had these two horrible experiences flying. And as a pilot, can you tell me, like, is my mind over exaggerating these situations, or were these really deep situations with like rooted trauma that was actually, not looking for validation, I guess.
Yeah.
It was just more of like, did my mind over exaggerate these situations, or were these like really serious situations? Right. And as a pilot, can you just confirm what I'm thinking and where my brain is? And he was like, oh yeah, those were two very serious situations. Right. But nonetheless, this affects my everyday life, my travel plans with my family, like having to go on business trips, me driving really long distances over having to get on a 1 hour flight. Like it has affected me since the age of like 2021. So for 20 years, like this, and there's deep, deep shame and guilt and all these things around it. And I raised my hand and it was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to volunteer to do this like healing process. And the thing is in the past, when I've done other types of healing,
Yeah.
It kind of re-traumatizes you in a way because you bring it up, you talk about it, right? And this process was so beautiful because it was like, we're working on a subconscious plane. Like, so we have this like 2% of our brain that is conscious, and then, or at least the way Nico described it, the 98% of it that is subconscious. We don't need to bring it up and talk through it and re-traumatize and do all these things because now we're talking to the subconscious mind. And when I ran that process and he said, throw it as far back as you can and stick it to the wall. And all of a sudden he's like, try to bring back that fear. And it was no longer present in my field. Like my subconscious was literally removed it, extract it, and it was gone. So, and now you and I haven't spoken very much since, but like I got on a flight the next week.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yes.
How did that go? It was
amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing. And I'm not going to say that it is 100% gone because I think that there are still subconscious parts of me that still identify with that. And that's something I still have to work through. But I have to tell you, so my husband and I were going on a trip, just the two of us, to just reconnect, the retreat, that was a lot of work, right? Yeah. And so it was just him and I without the kids. We were going to New Orleans and we get to the airport and usually I'm like, the anxiety would start at least a day beforehand. I'm, usually always like, we have to get to the airport 2 hours before. Like I have this huge regimen where I'm like, to feel safe, I have to do X, Y, Z. And we're at the airport. We're only there an hour before the flight. And he turns to me and goes, how are you feeling? And I know that it came out of like a place of like concern and care. And then I was like, oh, all of a sudden it struck me that I should be having anxiety and I wasn't.
Yes. So yeah, I know that experience. Yeah. And all the A to Z, it's not just X, Y, and Z. It's like there's an A to Z that you usually go through.
Yep.
And now you're like, oh, wait, I don't know that I need to do all of that. But you're right. I love that you're also bringing up that there are layers, right? It's amazing that there was a shift and that drastic of a shift. And yet it always will reveal to us the next layer of subconscious belief, limiting beliefs that we still need to work on or with, but really powerful. Yeah. And you were okay on the plane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was crazy. I mean, I don't really remember taking off or landing. Like I just fell asleep. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Like your body is like at ease to fall asleep. I would never fall asleep. I remember taking a 16-hour flight to Dubai and I didn't sleep at all because I was so nervous. I couldn't rest. I couldn't close my eyes. Right. Yeah. It's that sense of having to have control over everything.
Right.
But you don't. But
I know, right? Yeah. But the perception is that you have some control, but your nervous system was then finally feeling safe enough that it can just fall asleep or relax or Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're flying again tomorrow.
Okay.
So, again, I think to me, just continuing to be conscientious and on this, like I'm sitting here talking about flying. If anybody used to mention flying to me, I used to almost get like anxiety and have like a panic attack. And here we are talking about my like previous fear of flying, and I can openly talk about it and be like, I'm getting on a flight tomorrow, and like not have it affect me emotionally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it takes the charge out of the emotion and the memory. So you can still have memories, but it'll take the charge out of it. And that's the real point of trauma work. It's not to relive the traumas over and over again. It's to actually remove the charge around that so that it's now just a memory, or it's something that's in the background. It's not affecting you the same way. But I also think you've done so much work on yourself in terms of the quantum healing and what you've been through in your journey, emotional, spiritual, but also the physical. You're physically doing things differently. So it feels like the timing was really perfect. Well, I know the timing was perfect, but it was a perfect time to release because you had the capacity you'd built the container to do that. And I do think sitting next to that cosmic tower is probably really intensified the healing that we were able. But I feel like the cosmic tower was also holding space, like creating part of that container, right?
But also, wasn't it interesting that we kind of started with a bigger group of people and then people kind of left, right? And then at the end there, when we really got down to this, like the couple exercises that we did together, it was just the right amount of people that were supposed to be in that room.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right. Because people had to peel off to
get to flights and different things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how you have to create a sacred container for that kind of transformative emotional healing to happen. And by the way, like when I did the process and you did the process, like we didn't necessarily know what each others were working on. It wasn't like we were saying, this is the trauma I'm working on and telling the story and reliving it and all the things. It was just, we were all consciously focused on helping each other to transmute.
That's right. Yeah. And I love that. That's my favorite way to work with people on an energetic level, is that you can clear things without having to know what the details. You don't have to go through the details. All of that was amazing. And I just want to point out that you created, and I know you and Carrie did the retreat together, but I could tell the details that you put into that. It really did create a container for us to have a magical experience there. And for me, I had a lot of shame come up. I've talked about this. When I came back, I was like, it would changed me. And not just having that experience with Nico at your house, but the whole time I was having a lot come up for me to work through. And it was really powerful. And after I had some space to think about it, I was like, I think it's truly because the container was there for me to be able to do a deeper level of work. And because I said this to my therapist, I was like, I don't remember ever feeling so comfortable and uncomfortable at the same moment, where I was physically had a really bad headache. And so just it kept coming and going, and we were using all the tools, which is great. But I think it's because I felt so safe with all the people and the environment that I was then stuff was coming through. And it's because my nervous system was feeling safe. So kudos to you for making that a safe place where people can connect and really do some deep emotional work. Even though the majority of the speakers, we were doing the biology and talking about quantum biology, which is great. My mind was literally blown by a lot of speakers. And what was happening on a cellular or subcellular within the field was really deep emotionally.
I think that it was the coherence of the event. I really do. I think the people that were supposed to be there were there. And as far as I know, I think it was kind of the first event in that quantum biology space of like that size, that caliber, right? And so that was really the intention, is I think to have a gathering, like a sacred place where all of us that are in this field to come and connect in person. At least I think that was my intention for year one. And now I really think like Peter Forehand said, like it was like the Renaissance is starting, like that. I almost feel like that event had its own or it has its own consciousness. Ooh, getting chills.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about it. And this event, the consciousness of this circle and the people and this circle that we've brought together is changing and it's flowing a little bit different. And I think what's coming forward to me about next year's event is, this year we're very much focused on the physical health, the biology, like the science and all that kind of stuff. And I think what you and I were talking about after is like, the thing is if you're not working on the emotional health piece of it, your body's still going to be out of alignment. It's still resisting itself to heal and move. And it's when we remove that resistance and energy can flow fully from the physical body to the energetic, to the emotional, to the spiritual. And when you're fully aligned, that is when like disease is really going to be expelled, right?
But yeah, you can't take hold because it's
Yes.
not a match. The frequency is not matching.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think there's so many people in this space that do all the things.
Yeah.
Like, and they get really into the science. I did too, really trying to understand exactly what's happening on a subcellular level. And we get really into talking about exclusions of water, and we do all the things. And a lot of the people, I think, either are surprised or maybe even thought that the emotional piece, if you're not doing the emotional work, then it's a bigger piece, I think, than people think in the quantum spell. And just in terms of like quantum health, that not that people are opposed to it. I think they're just like, oh, I've been doing all this stuff. And then when they still are having a lot of symptoms, like, well, it's almost always emotional is what I'll say.
Yeah, it's like, I'm doing all the things. I'm doing everything you told me to do. But I also think, okay.
Okay.
Say someone gets a diagnosis, right? Or like their physical body.
Sure.
And then that's a wake up call. They're like, okay, I'm ready. And then they take action steps to do the cold plunge, the sunlight, the walking, the UVA, the sunsets, all blocking blue light and all the things. And they think that they are ready to heal, but their emotional body or the subplane, like that their emotional trauma and everything else is stored, they might not be ready to do that work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the physical things that they're doing and they think they're ready, I think that might be two different steps is what I'm saying or what's coming to me.
And I think it could go either way, because I also see people that have gotten really into mindset and emotional healing and doing all of that. And they're like, why am I not? Yes, they're still out of alignment. So it's not like you do this first or that first. It really is about where is your capacity? What capacity do you have at this particular moment? And it doesn't really matter where you start because it's all connected, like emotional, spiritual, physical. Like it's all,
That's true.
It's not like you have to start with your food and then you go to this and then you go to, it's not like that. You can start anywhere that resonates with you. But I see people that, of course, in my work, I see all these people that have done, I see mostly women, some men, but they're very high achieving, but they're basically you. They're very high achieving women. They have got it together. They have good families. They've done all this work on themselves. They are doing everything, probably even more so than the quantum health people who teach it. They are at it. And they are still experiencing chronic anxiety. It will come out of nowhere. It will hit them. They've done the trauma work. And so I think to dig there it's a different place, and to create the container. Sometimes they're stressing themselves out by doing all the things, and they're avoiding and they think they've done all the emotional work, but there is always this piece that I think is still there that we just have to back up and let it surface, let it bring itself so that we can see what it is that's out of alignment. But yeah, so I think it could go either way. They've done all the stuff and then they're still feeling not in alignment completely.
Well, it's also feeling safe enough to do the work. And that safety, like, as you know, on a healing journey, ebbs and flows. It goes up and down, up and down. So it's like, okay, my body's feeling safe enough to do a little bit of work. And then all of a sudden it's like you might be aggravating something again, and then it needs time to calm back down, right? So again, and it's work.
It is work. It is work. It takes time. I try to make it really practical for people. And also, like I just created this little activation, decoding your overthinking style. And it's fun because a lot of the work is hard. It's, some people might have listened to the first part of this podcast and they're like, you cried together, like that. It was so good. The release was so good, but a lot of people don't want to do things that seem really hard for them. And I think there was even somebody in our group that was like, if the floodgates start to open, it's going to keep going. And I just want to say, I am my almost 30 years of working in mental health. When people actually allow themselves to feel what's going on, it doesn't break a dam that doesn't stop. It feels like it's going to, but it's the trying to stop it that causes the problem for people. It's not the letting it go. But you're right, it's about safety. And you know better than probably most people, it doesn't matter when you're finally in a safe place and you have a good relationship. Doesn't necessarily like, okay, well, now it's safe enough. Your nervous system is still operating 98%, 95%, where subconsciously it's been programmed. So it takes a lot of time. It's not just, yes, you're now physically in safety, which is really important. Like that's step one for people. If they're going to do some deep work, you need to actually physically be safe and out of abuse and whatever. You can't be trying to heal in that kind of environment. So once you're actually in a safe place, it still takes a lot of time. And it's a process, and you cannot rush it. You can't push. You can, but then you're going to hurt yourself, and your body will tell you no, and it will break down and give you some way to stop you from doing that. But it's also like the psyche is, you don't want to go too quickly. And you don't want to push because the psyche can be quite fragile. And then you feel like you're losing your mind. And we don't want that. We want for me too, when going through my own journey and healing, you want to be able to function as a partner, a parent, a boss, worker, or whatever you've got going on. You don't want to fall apart because, well, that's just a whole nother way to do it. You can, but I don't recommend that way of doing it. So
well, it's like detoxing, how we always talk about, like, okay, if you detox way too fast, you have to make sure like all your pathways are open and this and that. Or you start just killing off parasites. Well, we know parasites eat radiation in your body, all these other things. You start releasing that too fast, all of a sudden your body and immune system gets overwhelmed. So it's the same thing with doing this emotional work. And also, I just want to honor you, Kelli. You are literally in this profession and you help other people, work with their trauma. But I just wanted to tell you, like, thank you for being brave and stepping up and doing your own work too. Like, it's so honorable to see that your vulnerability and, that you are not perfect. None of us are perfect, that you're still doing the work, that you're still open to showing that you're still processing things, that like you're very human, right?
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you saying that because the vulnerability can sometimes feel really raw, right? But yeah. I don't think I would trust somebody who's not in doing their own work. And what I know from my own experiences, you can only guide somebody else. They're on their own path. You can be a companion and you can help guide, but you can only go as far with them as you've been on your own journey.
Yeah.
So Jung said that, like, I believe you have to do your own work as a practitioner. I don't know how you don't. I know a lot of people would say, well, that's fine, but you don't have to put it out publicly.
Sure.
And I respect that is a decision. Sure. And I wrestle with that decision, honestly, a lot, because I don't have any problem being at your house and doing a healing and opening up and, doing the work that whatever Nico's telling me to do. and really, like, I'm in it. I don't really half-ass anything, but I mean, I really am in it when I'm doing that. But then to put it out more publicly, I just feel like, I don't know, I may change my mind at some point, but it feels important. And, and it feels important to demonstrate that, to role model that for other practitioners.
I remember being on your podcast a few months ago. Yeah. And after we got off the podcast, we stopped recording, and I told you that I had never said things that I said on your podcast publicly. Mm-hmm. And you were like, "Whoa, are you sure you want me to publish that? Mm-hmm. I'll follow up with you in a few days." And then you did. And I said, "I don't know why I said those things, but I did, and they're true." But I feel like there is a reason. Like, if my voice, my story can help even just one soul, one person in this lifetime, and give them hope, then it's worth it to me. So I don't want you to edit it out. Yeah, release it,
Yeah, and when I checked on you, you were like, "I actually feel really good." I was like, okay. Yeah. Because, sometimes you can have a vulnerability hangover that's pretty rough. But yeah, it was like a very freeing experience for you. It was courageous. I had no idea that you hadn't shared that because of the way you just shared it, like it had been shared before. But I also wanted to really be protective of you. Yes. I felt very protective of you in that moment. And I was like, screw the episode. Like, we don't need to worry about that. I just want to make sure that you feel held and really companioned here, because that was such a powerful thing for you to do.
But I do think, like, what has happened with me and my journey, like, since that happened, is I'm giving myself permission to live in this, like, authentic voice.
Yeah.
And I think that by doing that, I'm also giving other people permission, because we were raised, like, we're fairly similar age, but, like, we were raised in a society where it was like,
you're a lot younger, but yeah,
a little bit, but you know what I mean? Like, we were kind of raised to, like, you don't ever share your problems. You don't ever talk about it. You put a smile on your face. You just show up and this and that. Right. And it was like, that wasn't allowed. And somehow there's this shame around it. And I think by giving myself permission to do this publicly, it gives other people permission to start their healing journey.
Mm-hmm. That's the hope, right? Like, at the end of the day, I just really want to be of service. Like, I want happy, healthy children.
Yes.
I want happy, healthy home. And I just want to be of service in this time, and however I can do that. Imperfectly is okay.
Yeah. I feel like there was always these, like, expectations to be perfect.
Yeah. Or for me, it was all about control. Right. Like, always be in control. And it's like, well, you're never, like, really, but also, giving yourself first. I think it starts with giving yourself permission, and then creating the container to be able to do more and more of that, really taking care of yourself as more starts to come out. And some people will do that privately. Some people will do that more publicly. I think each person's journey is their own. And I really appreciate the public part of it because I think some of us have been called to do that. And while we will get um, some not nice messages or comments from some people maybe about that, the majority of what I hear is like, thank you for being that open and thank you for sharing. And you never know who you're touching. Like and it just one person is worth it.
And I think what's funny is the encouragement from like what I call is like divine encouragement, because there's been times that I'm like, ooh, am I really doing this? Are we really going there? And why is this happening? But then all of a sudden, I receive a message from the universe. It's literally like one of my followers will send me an email like, I don't feel comfortable sharing this publicly, but I could have written that myself. I could have said those things myself. Like you were speaking to my soul. And then I continue every time I doubt myself, continue to get those little messages. And I'm like, man, I would never think if I'm getting like someone's newsletter to hit reply and say, wow, that really encouraged me. But then that happens. And every once in a while you're like, okay, then my work is important. Like, I struggled with like, what am I even doing? Am I making a difference?
And then you're in a similar boat that I am where it's like, I don't have to be doing this.
Yes.
Do I really want to be doing this? My husband's like, no, quit.
Yeah.
I'm going to quit. And then I get the same thing. I just want to put out there people who take the time to reply, hit reply and say something kind or how it has helped them. That goes so far. I don't think people even realize how helpful that is for, a business owner or a person to say something nice. It's huge. And in the same way where I'm like, just when you're like, I would say, F it, I'm quitting. This is shit or whatever, because you get some mean comment on YouTube or something. And then I'll get 4 or 5 people that are like, this is me. And they're like, this is why I create content. This is why I share. It's for the people that it helps, that it touches. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy for people to be like, you just have to have a thick skin on social media, but it still affects you. It hurts. Just because you know better doesn't mean it's not hurtful at times, right? So
I feel like my skin is getting thicker. I keep saying I'm blaming it on menopause. I'm like, I just don't care anymore. You say whatever you want to say. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm even talking to my own parts, like I love to do. Even before there was such thing as the IFS and the parts work, I used to say it all the time, like the part of you, the part of me. I didn't necessarily always name it, but I've been doing that with the parts of like, there's a inner critic part that I'm really trying to welcome in as opposed to try and get rid of her. I'm like, I know you're trying to keep me safe. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome you in and harmonize, like we're talking about with EMFs, like harmonize all the parts. But I was like, let me just be real clear with you, sister. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going on podcasts. I'm going to keep, messing things up occasionally. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it. So you can keep showing up if you want, but we're going to have to get harmonized because you're not right. I do not want the inner critic driving the bus.
Yeah. I call it my adversary voice. Yeah. I'm like, oh, there's my adversary voice. Okay. Thank you. Like, we're just going to keep going now.
Thank you. But, I was like, have you not learned by now? Yeah. I won't stop.
Yep. Yeah. It's that whole affirmation that you are on the path you're supposed to be. Every time I've wanted to stop, it was like, no, like, here's an opportunity. Here's this, here's that. It's like all of a sudden, everything just kind of falls in line. So,
I do think there's something about honoring, like when you truly feel like you're done with something.
Yes.
I do think you and I are the type that would, just given what I know about our histories, that we would soldier on and put on a smile and keep the show going. And doesn't matter what's happening. And you and I are now in a place where we're like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm never going to abandon myself again
No.
like that. So there's a pushing forward because you know you're being called to something, even though it's hard.
Yes.
And there's an honoring of, yep, no, not doing that. That
I'm
doesn't,
complete. It feels complete.
yeah, that doesn't, if something's not resonating with me, I
Yep.
really listen to my body now more than I ever did. The last like 5 years, I check it out with my body and I get a sacral. I'm a generator for human design folks, pure generator. So I either get a sacral yes or no, and I honor that. Even if my mind is like, no, we want to do that. Like body says, no, we're not doing it. And the opposite is true too. Like if body says yes, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, well, body said yes. So here we go.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm a manifester.
Oh,
And
of course you are. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're total manifester energy.
but I used to act like a generator.
I used to try to be a manifester because I think both my parents are probably either manifesting generators or manifestors.
Right.
And so I just sort of thought that's what I was supposed to be like.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was kind of acting like a manifester wannabe.
Yeah.
And that's not the way you're not designed
to work like that, to operate like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to always like live my life in the generator because I thought that was how I was raised, the do. And then what's happened when I've really started living like in alignment with my human design style is the right things are just coming in. Like it's so easy. It just flows. And I'm like, it's just more of like the surrender than the forcing. And I couldn't believe I've spent my whole life trying to force things to happen. And now it's so easy. It's like, oh.
You know, well, I got to say, I still get in my own way a little bit.
For sure.
So I'm working a lot on that. I'm running my experiment, but I love how much. So I have to ask too, like, when did you start getting into the human design stuff? Like,
okay, so recently.
Okay, so I was just wondering where it was in the journey of things, because I feel like I have a lot more, like I got into it before the quantum health stuff, but I feel like it's much more powerful. Everything seems easier and more powerful since the quantum health strategies. I have
100%. 100%.
But now I'm really into like really looking at flow and the way I'm designed. But I think every single person, this is my theory. We don't know but we all have to enter. It's like the Knights of the Round Table, right? Everybody at the Knights are all after the Holy Grail, whatever the Holy Grail is for you. But each of the Knights has to enter the forest in their own spot. So we can't follow another person's path exactly, right? We can't. And so all of this information that we're trying to follow the influencers, or we're trying to follow the marketing people, or whatever we're trying to do, it's great. You can see what resonates with you, and you can take notes of like, definitely want to do that. Don't want to do that. Totally fine. And just know that you're going to be on your own path.
Yes.
To whatever that Holy Grail is for you. It's going to be your own path. But what I have found that most of us, like my path seems to be one of surrender and sobriety. Sober surrender seems to be part of my path, and not just like sober, like with alcohol and that. I mean, like sober. But other people's path, I feel like it includes surrender.
Yeah.
Even though the path is going to be different for each person, it seems to me, I hear it over and over and over again. It really is about surrender. Not collapse, but surrendering. And that has been really interesting, challenging, but beautiful process that, of course, is still happening in me. But it seems like the surrender is how we get out of our own way on that path. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, in my own little world here.
But I also think too, like we can surrender but also have intention.
100%. It's not about giving up. It's
not saying like, oh, whatever is going to come my way. You can still say, okay, my intention is to do X, Y, Z, what is the most natural path for me to, like, for instance, this weekend, and somebody asked me, they're like, how do you get your clients? How did you just, because I was trying to force this business over the past 4 or 5 years, however long it's been, right? And it just wasn't clicking together. It wasn't working out because I was doing things that were not, like, I wasn't necessarily meant to do one-on-one coaching. Can I do it? Yes. Do I help a lot of family and friends? Yes. But trying to structure a business around doing one-on-one coaching like everybody else in the space, or even like we were taught and all these things to do, wasn't working out for me. I was getting the leads. I was hopping on these sales calls. I was talking to all the people. We had great resonance, but it wasn't working out. Nobody was buying the program, doing the one-on-one coaching. And I was like, I felt really kind of like, I guess this is just not what I'm meant to do. I need to reinvent myself again. But that's the thing. That's a secret. And you guys, like, this is very vulnerable for me to share that I've like struggled in my business over the last few years, right? But it's because now I know that creating events in these beautiful sacred spaces, and it came to me like literally a month before Return to Nature, I was like, why does this feel so easy? Because this is what I'm meant to do. I love planning events. I love planning food. My heart and soul, like, it doesn't feel like work. And yet now I'm like, now I know why all those things were working out, because now I know my path is doing this. Like, I love doing this. This feels fulfilling.
Very aligned, lit up, easy. Yeah. I love that. And I like, was it Peter? Is his name Peter?
Mm-hmm.
The fun ukulele playing, adorable,
Peter Forehand. Yes.
New Einstein of our time.
Yes.
Blow your mind, kid. I know he's not that young, but he's kind of a kid to me. But I loved what he said about like the intention, what you were talking about, like being willing to let go of what isn't working and stop forcing. But when having an intention and then energetically like lassoing that whatever it is that you're trying to bring in to your life, and you're pulling it in, and you're pulling it in with frequency and intention, and being aligned, because that version of you that already has that is already in the field. So you're just aligning with that part that already has that. But then if universe or God or whatever you believe in comes along and just sort of snips that lassoing rope, that energetically, then you just say, oh, okay, so that wasn't meant for me.
Yeah,
I get it. So it's like this or something better is sort of the language you hear, right? In manifesting. But I loved that image. I have been using that. I'll be like, when you get really, really clear about what you want, and then you're okay if it's not meant for you. You don't want to be like picking up things that aren't for you.
Yes.
And to do somebody else's path or forcing things. And I really appreciate what you're saying about business. It can be really any area of your life, but you're not alone. You know how many people are misaligned, thinking it's them, and it's not them. It's because they're using their energy in a way that they're not designed to do.
Right.
Or they're trying to lasso something in, and universe is coming and clipping it, and they're still then trying to make it happen, when it's like, oh, not a problem. But the clearer you can get about what it is you're aiming for, I think the more you're able to bring it into your field.
I love that so much. I feel like you and I could talk for hours. So I
we
think
could. Yeah, probably need to wrap this up, right? Okay, sorry.
We're going to be like Joe Rogan 3.5 hours over here.
Yeah, no, I get it. We could talk forever.
Well, and this honestly felt like I'm catching up with a girlfriend of mine. So it was just such an easy conversation. And I just want to thank you and honor you for coming on this podcast. And also so excited that you're going to be talking at Return to Nature next year. We're going to be really focusing on the emotional body and trauma work, and really having it more flowing, and not as many speakers. We're actually going to give time to really go in and do the work. And transmute things and integrate. And it's going to be much less of a rigid schedule. And I'm just feeling very grateful that you said yes to the invitation to like come be a speaker next year. I'm really excited to have you. But why don't you give the people listening to this, like, who you are, what your work is, where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. All that we probably should have started. My background is in clinical mental health counseling. So I help people with chronic anxiety. People can find me at anxiety-recovery.com. I love to connect with people on Instagram. That's my place. YouTube channel, all the regular stuff that you can connect and get plenty of information. I have courses and all that too. So I am so excited about next year. I cannot wait to come to the retreat, and we'll see. I'm loving that. I'm really thinking more experiential. I'm thinking giving people plenty of time to really not just connect with each other, because that's beautiful. That the food, everything was amazing. You did.
Thank you.
Telling everybody you got to come. It was so great. But then I have a feeling it's going to grow. And so there'll be more people. So really allowing for time to integrate and having our nervous systems nurtured. I'm really excited about that part. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Like I said, I think that this event, like Peter Forehand said, like we're starting the Renaissance, and this event really has this own consciousness, and we're as a collective come together and adding to this consciousness, and we're doing the work, we're doing it all together, and therefore we're affecting the universe around us, everybody else too. So yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'll talk to you all the time, anytime. Yeah.
Well, let me then just wrap this up with the final question that I ask everybody on every podcast. And that is, what does love mean to you?
What does love mean to me? That's a great question. I'm like, did you ask me that before? I think of love as the only thing that's actually real. So that's actually a book. Love is the only thing that's real is love. And I think it's a frequency that we have available to us at all times. To me, it means not only connection, but that kind of magic that can happen. So I think of love as the medicine for all of us, all of humanity, but that we have access to all the time.
I love that. But also like self-love.
Of course. No, inside, outside.
Yeah.
Always within us. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when I think of love, like I always think like you love someone else. But like when you were speaking that, I felt deep self-love.
That's the point, I think.
Yeah.
Because when we feel it in our self-love, then we can give it. Yes. And I'm glad that you brought that up. It's like self-care, and I don't think of it that way. It's much deeper. It's really important to cultivate and nurture so that we can then be of service to other people in the world. So
I know we're trying to wrap this up, but like it just feels like we just keep going and going. Okay. But I feel called to share. We know that like water has frequency. And so when you ingest water, you can speak words into water.
Yes.
And if this is your practice, like please reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you credit for it, because I did not develop this practice. I learned it from somebody, but I don't remember who, so I apologize. But it was a self-love practice, and you would, pour a cup of water, and all I said to it was, I love you. Mm-hmm. And I think the first time I drank that water, I threw up.
Wow.
And it took me about a week of like bawling on the floor to be able to drink a glass of water with the frequency that was, I love you, because I didn't love myself.
Wow. Oksana, thank you for sharing that. There's no way we couldn't end before you shared that.
So that is a powerful practice, you guys, to
yeah. And you could start with, I just hand on heart saying I love you was really hard for me too. I almost like choked on that.
Yeah.
kind of a similar, but you could also start with other words in the
Yes.
order. So, and just work your way there.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that even though it might feel awkward or hard or dumb or whatever, I would urge people to do it anyway. Like, really, but you may not understand quantum yet.
Yeah.
Water is really important. The frequency of our thoughts and our emotions and being loving to ourselves, huge.
And Kelli, like, your work is important. You are so loved. And thank you for doing this. Thank you for educating us and being a part of the mission. And I just adore you. Thank you.
Adore you too. Your work is so important too. So thank you so much for showing up all the time and being you.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for tuning in to the Quantum Lens podcast. I hope this episode brought you insight, inspiration, and a deeper connection to your journey. If you've loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let's keep this conversation going. And until next time, keep aligning, expanding, and embrace the magic of who you are.